Alright, first off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Makakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers and highways and byways pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom. This is Brother Aaron from the James Jamaica camp. Come with another quick lesson. And this lesson is, based upon I think I'm gonna name this one, being cleansed from Egypt. As I said in my last video, reading the book of Joshua, you see a lot of a lot of things that happened back then, that will be happening, now on a spiritual sense, and bear in mind that, the book of Joshua, Joshua was, leading the children of Israel into the land, and he was actually responsible for, dividing the lot of the land to the nation of Israel. Right, so let's just get straight into it, right? And hopefully this is edifying, right? So this is Joshua 5, and I'll start at verse 2. It says, at the time Yahweh said unto Joshua, make these sharp knives and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time, right? And that's when they actually came out of Egypt. When they were in the wilderness, they got that instruction, right? And right now, back then we were circumcised, as a people, and even now in today we are we are being circumcised a second time, right? But our circumcision is the circumcision of Yahushai, right? And as I said, just a few similarities. Let me continue. It says, and Joshua made him sharp knives and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the foreskins. And this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise all the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war died in the wilderness by the way after they came out of Egypt. Now all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness by the way as they came forth out of Egypt, they had not circumcised, right? And today, while we're actually, as Yahweh Shem Yahushai, blessed us with his mercy and his spirit, by revealing his scriptures unto us, his holy word, through his mercy. This is us actually, you can liken this as us being born in the wilderness, not knowing who we are. And also, we this is also known as spiritual Egypt as well, where the ways and following the unclean customs, not fully clean, right? Because really circumcision, is a part of it is a part of making yourself clean. And also, more importantly, as it states in Romans 4, it was the circumcision was a sign of faith, right? It was a sign between the Most High Yahweh and Abraham that that he had faith. It showed that he had faith, right? Now, as I said that, funny enough, it's faith that actually, brings us to Yahweh Shai. Faith is what's gonna actually deliver us. As a matter of fact, let me just get that Romans real quickly, and then I'll get back to the Joshua. It just came to mind, wasn't a part of the breakdown, but let me just get this real quickly. Romans 4. Right, verse 9, Romans 4 and 9, it says, commit this blessedness upon the circumcision only, or upon the uncircumcision also? For we say that faith was reckoned to Abraham for righteousness. How was it then reckoned when he was in circumcision or in uncircumcision? Not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision. And he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of the righteousness of the faith which he had been uncircumcised, that he might be the father of all them that believe, though they be not circumcised, that righteousness might be imputed unto them also, right? So it was actually the reason why Abraham, this was a sign of faith, right? As it shows right here, right? Verse 11 just said it, it says And let me just read that part again. It says, he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of righteousness of the faith which he had, being yet uncircumcised. Right. So it was a sign of his faith. Right. So going back to Joshua. All right, Joshua 5 and verse 5, it says, now all the people, right, verse 6, it says, for the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness, till all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of Yahweh, unto whom Yahweh sware that he would not shew them the land, which Yahweh sware unto their fathers, that he would give us a land that floweth with milk and honey. Right, and definitely, the great falling away happened. Right, we weren't actually delivered at that time. It says, and their children whom he raised up in their stead, them Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, for they were uncircumcised because they were not circumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way. So pretty much they were not circumcised. Right, verse 8 says, and it came to pass when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp till they were whole. And Yahweh said unto Joshua, this day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt off you, wherefore the name of the place is called Gilgal unto this day. And that's the thing, the point is in verse 8, where it says that they abode in their place till they were whole. Salakia, verse 9, it says the last part where it says the first part. Salakia, let me just read that again. I'm not sure why I'm a bit tongue-tied right now. It says, and it came to pass when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp till they were whole. Right, and pretty much that's what we are actually waiting to be whole, because what Yahweh Shai is our physician. Right, Yahweh Shai is our physician, because when Yahweh Shai returns, that's when we'll definitely be truly whole. Right, and that's pretty much we right now are being circumcised, and as we are formed in this word, as we go through the this furnace of adversity, right. It says, and Yahweh said unto Joshua, this day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you, wherefore the name of the place is called Gilgal unto this day. Right. So let me just go ahead and highlight a few precepts in regards to us, the reproach of Egypt being rolled away from us, because surely in this modern Egypt, us being circumcised in heart, and in spirit, the reproach which is to come, which is the thermonuclear missiles, famine, which is to come, the pestilence, the destruction, all the evils, as it pertains to the hour of temptation, will be delivered from that. And even those who are actually who are destined to be martyrs, there will be a righteous reward, for those men, whoever they be, So that's the thing, we are being cleansed, from the from Egypt, right? And it's all through what? Circumcision. Now let me get this precept right here. Right, this is Colossians, and I'll start at verse 8. It says, Colossians 2 and 8, it says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Hamashiach. For in him dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead bodily, and ye are complete in him, which is the head of all principality and power, in whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, in putting off the body of the sin of the flesh by the circumcision of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Right? And that's the thing. This is us actually putting off the ways of Egypt. This is us putting off the way the ways of Babylon. This is us putting off the ways of the world, right? And being one with Yahweh Shai. And this is being done through Yahweh Shai. Right? So it's just like how before they went into the land in the book of Joshua, they had to be circumcised. It's the same thing now, before we are actually delivered from this Egypt, before we actually make it out of this wilderness, we'll have to be circumcised in heart, right? So there's a spiritual circumcision taking place right here and right now, right? Another quick precept, which is it, where is that? Philippians 3, right? This is Philippians 3 verse 2. It says, beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of concessions or concisions, for we are the circumcision which worship God in the spirit and rejoice in Yahweh Shai HaMashiach and have no confidence in the flesh. Right? So that's another point. He says we are the circumcision which worship the Most High in the spirit. Right? Also in Romans it says, he's not a Jew that is circumcised. He's a Jew as a matter of fact. Let me get it outwardly. Alright, this is Romans chapter 2, verse 28. It says, for he is not a Jew which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh, but he is a Jew which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart in the spirit, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of the Most High. Right? So right now, once again, I know I said it, about 3 or 4 times already, but yes, we are actually going through a spiritual circumcision before we're actually delivered and placed in the land, right? We're actually being made clean, for Yahweh Shai, right? Because truly, as the scripture says, get out of her, my people, right? It's talking about spiritual. So salvation begins in the mind. Right. That's why the scripture says, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Right. So circumcision, salvation begins in the mind. Right. Now, what else? I think that was a point on that. Now, another interesting thing that I found was verse 10. Right. Going on, it says, Joshua 5:10, it says, and the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal, and they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at evening in the plains of Jericho, and they did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the selfsame day. And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Neither had the children of Israel manna any more, but they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. All right. And that's the thing right there, after they were circumcised, they kept the Passover, right? And then they entered into the land. Then they started to eat of the land of Canaan. That's when they actually, pretty much was about to conquer, right? And the part that what I'm making this spiritual comparison to is the fact that once we're delivered through Yahweh Shai, we will then be perfect, right? And we'll have the laws within our inward parts, right? So we will no longer be eating, learning these scriptures in the sense of trying to be perfect, as we're doing right now, because Yahweh Shai is once again we're in the wilderness, in a spiritual sense. We're eating that manna, right, which is Yahweh Shai. But the day is gonna come when we're gonna be perfect, where we won't have to eat this manna. All right. Let me get a quick precept. This is St. John 6, and I'll start at verse 47. It says, verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life. I am that bread of life. Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are dead. This bread which cometh down from heaven, that a man may eat thereof and not die. This is the bread which cometh down from heaven, that a man may eat thereof and not die. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, and which I will give for the life of the world. Right? So Yahushai, is that manna which actually came down from which came down from heaven, right? Jumping down to verse 58, it says, "This is that bread which came down from heaven, as your fathers is eat manna and are dead, but ye that eat of this bread shall live forever." Right? So we'll basically, once we are actually consuming this word, we feed in the belly of our mind, would actually be strengthened and nourished, unto everlasting life. Because ultimately, once Yahweh actually delivers us somewhere place in the land, definitely we will be good, right? So let me just close off with Hebrews 8. I'm gonna close off with Hebrews 8. Right? So just as the children of Israel, when they got into the land of Canaan, after they were clean through their circumcision, and were made whole, then they started, to eat off the land. And it's the same thing, when we're in the kingdom of heaven, we'll also physically be eating off off the land, right? We'll definitely be in our rest. So where should I start? Right. Well, let me start at verse 8. It says, "For finding fault with let me start at verse 7. It says, "For if that first covenant had been faultless, that should no place have been sought for the second." Right? So the first covenant was made with us when we were in the land of when we were in the wilderness, right? After we fled out of Egypt, right? And there's a second covenant which comes through what Yahweh Shai. And let's see what that entails. It says, "For finding fault with them, he said, Behold, the days come, say Yahweh, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah." Right? And this is found in Jeremiah 30. Right? Well, Jeremiah 31 starting at verse 31. Right? It says, "For finding," verse 9 says, "not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, say Yahweh. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, which say Yahweh, I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. Right? And they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more." Right? And that's the thing. Right? The spiritual circumcision that we're currently going through, and the spiritual manna, the bread, that food that came down from heaven, which we're actually consuming at the same time, which both of those are represented by Yahweh Shai, right? That is going to actually lead to this prophecy being fulfilled, right? And similar, just as it was similar to the children of Israel, but then in the time of Joshua, as we just read, right, in Joshua 5, it's going to have a spiritual significance, or spiritually, that's what's going to happen in these last days. All right? So with that, I really hope that you were edified. Once more, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways that's teaching this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom.